Some designers create beauty, others create meaning. And then there's Nicole Hirsch. On today's episode of Beyond the Design, we meet the visionary behind Nicole Hirsch Interiors, a creative force known for crafting timeless spaces with soul, elegance, and intention. She brings a deep emotional intelligence to every room she touches. Her designs whisper rather than shout, layered, livable, and deeply personal. Today, we discover the story, the philosophy, and the heart of Nicole Hirsch. This is Beyond the Design. Welcome to the show, Nicole Hirsch.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. This is so
Absolutely. We're glad to have you here today. Well, Nicole, what first sparked your love for interior design, and was there a defining moment when you knew this was your calling?
Yeah, so I am a second generation interior designer. I grew up with my mom my whole life growing up as a child. My mom was an interior designer for a residential firm, but design was different in the 90s and late 80s.
Right.
And there was no sourcing online or anything like that. So when she would go into the Boston Design Center, which is what you had to do, right? You had to go showroom and touch the fabrics and look at the fabrics and really experience everything that the Boston Design Center had. I would often go with her and write down, the item number for each fabric or wallpaper. And I kind of got an appreciation for it, at least at a young age.
It's like shopping.
Like shopping in the most creative way possible. So that was kind of my first exposure to it. And then as I got older, I, kind of started as I moved into my first apartment in college. And then after college, I started to realize designing the space around me felt so good and important and made me feel so happy. And it kind of expounded from there.
So it was in your DNA. Well, it's kind of different atmosphere to grow up into it, like any musician or artist or actor, when it surrounds you, it kind of becomes part of your ethos, your DNA. And so it becomes a natural talent.
Yeah. And I think kind of growing up in a home, so designers, it's, I guess it's kind of part of what we do. It makes us very susceptible to always wanting to do things in our own homes. Constantly, we're always seeing things. And I felt like that was always happening around me growing up in our home. It was like, I'd come in and one whole room would be redesigned, or there'd be a new sofa or new drapery. And it was just kind of I grew up with constant evolution of design in my house. So I guess I was destined to take this path.
Yep. Your firm is known for balancing contemporary elegance with livability. Was there a specific experience or project that shaped your design philosophy and for you to actually take this route of the aesthetic movement?
Yeah. So I think when we first start out as designers, we're in a really different place versus when we establish ourselves as designers. Right. So in the beginning, it was I would be so happy to take on one client and I'd really succumb to whatever their design whimsy was, even if it wasn't really in my wheelhouse. And I think it was probably a year or so after launching my firm that I had my first client where she kind of really I was established enough that she trusted me at that point. And I got kind of really drive the design direction. And I just had always, in my own home and everything as well, really loved clean, neutral, timeless, elegant design that my 3 young kids could still live in and not feeling stressed about. And so this first client where I could really make my own mark upon the design, and I created this home for her that was that very elegant, neutral, clean, luxurious design. And that was my first project that people really responded to, I think. And kind of, I continued on that path and evolved on that path ever since. People kind of say to us now, Nicole Hirsch Interiors has a very distinct style, especially being a firm in New England where there's traditional design. We err on the side of contemporary a little bit more. And so we've always kind of stayed true to who we are while still making every project totally unique, of course.
Well, that brings up a good question because New England, Massachusetts has such a rich architectural history, as you said. How does that influence your approach to design?
Oh, yeah. I mean, we do projects in Beacon Hill and the South End. And for those that aren't familiar with what those neighborhoods are like in Boston, Boston's obviously a very historic city, and the homes, the brownstones in those areas are very traditional and historic by nature, with gorgeous crown moldings and brick and all of these things. And we never want to ignore that. So we always kind of lean into those elements while still keeping it really contemporary and clean for our client. They're coming to us, as I said, now at this point. We've been around for long enough that clients are coming to us for that clean elegance, but they still want to keep that kind of more historic, all those historic elements intact within their homes. And combining the old and the new is our favorite thing to do.
Do you find that there's a lot of limitations architecturally or interior-wise because of historic homes, that you can actually have that transition of historical essence of a home, but actually give it a new life?
Yeah, no, I think, you know what? I think that in design right now in general, even when we're doing new construction from the ground up, our clients still, because we're in these New England, even when we're out here in the suburbs and in these New England neighborhoods, there is always this like nod to maintaining the old and combining it with the new. And so we just lean into it, really. Like there's never really been a situation where there's something that's so old and unworkable architecturally that we can't kind of incorporate it into our design vision. The homes around here are just really beautiful by nature, and Boston is such a gorgeous city. And so we just kind of take what we're given. We, keep all those gorgeous crown moldings and all of those big, historic windows and all of those things, but we just kind of, it's fresh paint, it's gorgeous new floors, it's clean, beautiful silhouettes for furniture, all of those things. And we just kind of meld it together.
I've been to that part of the world, New England and Boston and around there so much that if I didn't live where I live now, I would live there, because just as the historical factor and the design essence and aesthetic and the history that's tied to it. And there's such a wide variance of architecture and design that's implemented in New England. It's very defined too. If you could design a home in any city in the world, where would it be and why?
I love LA. Aside from Boston, I would kind of like my other really favorite city in the country. And I love the homes out there. I love the whole like Malibu and the hill, like all those areas and the views and the cleanliness of the architecture. It's a really stark contrast from what we have out here. And I think if I could implant myself in one of those gorgeous homes, that would be so cool. I just was really inspired when I was recently out there and touring all the homes in the hills and everything. It was just stunning.
California living.
Yeah. Good stuff.
What's your favorite or absolute favorite color to design with? And what's one you secretly try to avoid? And it's like, I can't do that.
Yeah, that's a great question. Colors we work with so often, and I know this sounds so boring, but we really love shades of cream and tan. And it is not to say that we don't infuse color and pattern in sparingly with those tones, but for us, our clients want the design of their home to feel like 5 years from now. It doesn't feel irrelevant. And so even if it's not cream or beige, but it's a beautiful, dusty kind of pink, or colors that don't feel so jarring that you're going to tire of them quickly.
Right.
So that's really the basis. And again, for us too, it's not even just about a color, because color alone doesn't do it. For us, it's color, but making sure that if we're painting the walls, Benmore Swiss coffee, that within that room, there's also some warm wood tones, some metal, some upholstery. It's really for us, the mixing of materials that makes the room feel whole. In terms of a color I don't love using, we don't use a ton of bright orange. We love tones of orange. We love burnt orange. We love, the persimmon, like those kind of tones we love. You won't see a lot of Halloween orange in our design, probably.
It's not good for the reflection of,
It doesn't do a good thing for your complexion.
Right. Well, if you had to describe your personal design aesthetic in 3 words, what would they be?
Personal design aesthetic in 3 words would be classic, clean, and comfort. I would say classic in the sense that we don't like super trendy that feels like it's in and out in a moment. We really love clean lines. We're not, I know there's like the trend of like maximalism right now, which I appreciate. And all of those things. We really like to kind of not overdo a room. You'll see that our furniture pieces are very meaningful in every space, and they're to scale, and they fill the space and feel comfortable, but not overdone. And then the comfort factor, I would say, I'm almost going to say 100% of our clients are coming to us with families, with young kids, with, growing families. And so we don't want to like design these spaces where after we're done, the families kind of walk in and say, this isn't really livable for us. So, so those are kind of our three spaces that 3 words to describe our aesthetic.
Given that Nicole Hirsch Interiors is known for contemporary livable design, is there an aesthetic or a stamp that is significant that you try to incorporate so someone knows that it's been designed by Nicole Hirsch Interiors?
That's a really cool question. I love that. And again, in answering this question, each one of our homes, each one of our clients, and each one of our designs is very unique to that project. So by no means would you walk into or if you look on our website or my Instagram, every project feels very unique to that home. That being said, I think there are certain things that are inherently our brand or, our design is one, probably being, we love a lot of rich texture. So in our projects, you're going to see really thoughtful selections of fabrics when it comes to upholstery, when it comes to drapery, when it comes to rug selections. Like there's very few times you're not going to notice the rich rugs that we bring in that are kind of very textural and neutral. That bring a lot of like depth to the project. So rugs. And then the other big thing is we're really into art. So when you see our projects and you see them, the final shot, you're going to see a lot of really bold, special, thoughtful incorporation of art in every project. And fabulous statement lighting is another big one for us.
It does it sets the room tone.
It's
an important factor that a lot of people, for the end user, don't understand that lighting sets a room tone, and it can be changed,
Yeah. No, we do a lot of custom lighting that really makes a statement in foyers, in dining rooms, because it's not just about the fixture itself, but it has to be to scale for that particular space too. So a lot of times we'll find gorgeous Gabriel Scott or Apparatus Studio or some of these beautiful lighting manufacturers. But we'll need to kind of create and tweak and make them specifically to kind of sit perfectly over that dining room table or be grand enough for the height of a foyer. So that becomes important.
Well, your designs feel so effortlessly sophisticated yet approachable. How do you achieve that balance between high-end luxury and everyday functionality? As you mentioned, your clients don't want a museum. They want something that's livable and usable. So how do you create that balance of everyday functionality when it's such a beautiful space to be in?
Yeah. So I think everyone has probably seen this now, but there is this like major move in interior design when it comes to fabrics and rugs, that there are like the most vast amount of materials offered now that are performance, that are pre-treated, that you really almost have to go out of your way to find delicate materials now, from an upholstery standpoint. So we really look to our partners, our different showrooms where we love the fabric, and we're really mindful to select gorgeous fabrics that are just performance based. It's super easy. And there's so much of it available. And same thing on the rug front. Like, we do a ton of custom rugs with Art and Loom in Miami, with Stark, and we make sure that they're 100% wool in high traffic areas so they can easily be cleaned. We just really have that all in mind as we're designing in areas where the family is really living. Now, that's not to say that in a special living room that's not used very often, we wouldn't do a silk rug or, a more delicate material. But where the family is living most of their life, we do a lot of leathers and performance fabrics and things that are going to wear well over time.
Fantastic. Well, you mentioned a lot of the fabrics that you use incorporate into your projects and your use of texture materials and bold but strategic color in your designs. What's one expected material or color that you've fallen in love with lately?
Wow, there's so many different. So we were in, obviously, there was a heavy boucle phase.
Right. I love boucle.
And we still love boucle. Whereas boucle, we were doing a lot of white and off-white. We are now moving into richer tones of boucle. So in a few projects that we're in the midst of right now, we're looking towards more camel, chocolate brown. So we still are living in that kind of textural boucle world, but we're going a little richer on our color selections. And from a fabric standpoint, and I know you've had her on your podcast, we are like huge Rosemary Hallgarten fans. We basically, I can't think of a project we've done where we haven't used one of her draperies or upholstery fabrics. She like embodies kind of everything we love about fabrics from a texture standpoint, from a color standpoint, from a subtle print standpoint. So we lean towards her a lot in our projects. And then we still do, a lot of velvet, linen, but again, all very neutral colors, nothing too jarring.
Well, when designing a space, what's the first element you typically start with?
So when designing a space, without a doubt, we floor plan. And this is my first thing I always say to clients is, you might find the most gorgeous sectional sofa, dining room table, breakfast room table, whatever the case may be. You may find the most gorgeous piece. I have to have it. I need it in my house. But if not to scale for the space, it is never going to look good. It doesn't matter how expensive, how amazing, everything needs to be to scale. So when we're starting a project, if it's new construction, we get the plans from the builders and we start building each furniture piece into each room to make sure that we are exactly at the dimensions we need to be. And then from there, we can really accurately start sourcing pieces and figuring out what's going to need to be made custom versus what we can, purchase.
Well, let me ask you this, because a lot of clients, there's so much social media, there's Pinterest, there's TV shows. Do you get those clients that's like, when they want a haircut, they bring a picture. It's like, I want this. It's like, it won't fit your face. It doesn't fit your lifestyle. It's not, your hair texture is not there. How do you kind of guide them through that process of, their lifestyle, their personality, the functionality?
Yeah, I think even when clients come to us, even if the pictures they're showing us aren't 100% correct for their home, it still gives us a really good starting place to direct them from there. Okay, so I kind of get that you love this like aesthetic. Like you keep showing me curved sofas. So you know what? Maybe that curved sofa aesthetic isn't going to work for your family room like you were thinking. But you know what? You have this huge seating area in your primary bedroom. What if we took that element in that space? And so I think that we love being collaborative with our clients. We're never out to kind of like, this is the path, this is what you're doing, because they're home, right? But we do try and kind of, even if the hairstyle is not right for that event, as you were saying, we try and kind of use some of what they love and incorporate it in some way, shape, or form.
What's one design crime that makes you cringe every time you see it? Like, oh, no. It's got to go away.
Where do I start? Kitchens where the cabinets stop shy of the ceiling makes me, I hate millwork that is not thoughtfully kind of implemented within the space. It just needs to be thoughtful. That's one. Rugs that are not to scale drive me crazy. And the other one is just furniture that's not to scale in general.
Right. I think rugs is one of my, it's like when it's so small, it's like a postage stamps and it doesn't go underneath the furniture. It doesn't cover the room.
That's one pushback that I often do have with clients is when they say, we just got this beautiful new area rug that we had in our family room in our apartment, and we want to move it to the family room in our big new home. That's where I'll really push back, because that destroys the entire aesthetic of a space if the rug is not to scale. It destroys it.
Since you grew up in the environment and surrounded by this industry, what is one item that you're surprised about during this journey that you didn't know?
I always say this, and it is a journey being an interiors designer. As I have grown my business, I have kind of brought together a team. I have two insanely talented interior designers that work alongside me. And as we have grown, I have realized that the key to success in this industry is having amazing designers that you can totally lean on, because being an owner of a design firm is actually 60 to 70% business admin, putting out fires, working with clients to keep them comfortable through the process, making sure subs are on track. It's not as sexy as it seems. And so, but that's owning a business. And so as much as I love interior design and I wish that I could have my hands in the design process all the time, having a really talented design team behind you is what makes you successful.
True.
You just don't have time to.
Yeah, you're juggling. Yeah, you're designing your dream personal treat. What 3 must-have elements would it include that would tell your story?
Yep. Huge chef's kitchen. I find, and I know everyone says that, no matter how much you try and pull your guests to other spaces in your house, for me, like we cook dinner a lot. I have 3 children. We entertain a lot. I still believe the kitchen is kind of like the heart of your home, and having ample counter space for putting out platters of food on holidays and big windows in your kitchen and huge appliances. I'm so jealous of all my new construction, massive fridges and freezers. That would be one element to me that would be like a non-negotiable. To a beautiful outdoor space. If it was in a warm climate, having a pool, I just think being outside and having like a beautiful surrounding outside on the water is such a lovely kind of really aspirational element to a dream home. And then the third piece of it is a gorgeous primary bedroom and bathroom. I think that's a really important space in the house that sometimes gets overlooked, but I feel like your shower is your sanctuary, and
Sure.
having a nice, like massive double head kind of wet room with the tub in there and beautiful marble and gorgeous plumbing. I think those are the three non-negotiables for me building my.
Do you live in a historical home, an older home?
I don't live in a historical home, but it is a colonial. I live in a neighborhood in a suburb of Boston, and it has traditional elements, which you kind of can see, you can see almost the crown behind me and the molding, but this is my home office, and I lacquered it and, did some things to kind of make it Nicole Hirsch.
Well, your firm is known for being highly organized and detail-oriented. And as you mentioned, your support staff is part of that. What's one system or process that keeps everything really running smoothly?
It's probably furniture schedules. I think we do a really good job. When we're doing projects now, we're never coming in and doing one room. It's either a new construction house where we're affecting every space in the house, or it's a renovation, or we're doing design of multiple rooms in a house. So the projects are meaty and there's a lot going on. And I think that we have kind of developed a furniture schedule system where every time we place an order, we kind of keep it very detailed in terms of when the order was placed, who the vendor is, when it's expected. Everything that we order all goes to our furniture receiver who inspects it. And so just keeping that really detailed furniture schedule with images of each piece has really kept us on track with our big projects.
I mean, this industry is always and forever evolving. And now with, the multitude of social media and the television shows that make it look so easy and quick, how do you see the industry changing, especially with AI kind of being implemented into the design work in the design industry?
Yeah, I mean, things will obviously continue to evolve, and I'm all for evolution and technology and all of that. There is a human element to interior design, both in the way that you connect with your client, understand your client's needs up front, and kind of there's a real back and forth dynamic to a good project. And I just don't think that human element, you're ever going to be able to take it out of the process. And that's not to say that renderings and things like that technology isn't going to become more and more developed. I think things like that are going to be super, super helpful tools to us as designers. And I hope those continue to become easier to use and faster. But people are people and our clients are clients, and this is real money that they're spending on their homes, and they want to feel like they have a human connection with their design team. And without that, I think projects won't turn out great.
It can't be robotic. And plus it's a very tactile industry. You have to touch. It's very experiential to your senses in a lot of ways because it's your environment. Doesn't mean if it's residential, hospitality, commercial, whatever. It's about the motions that stirred. And that's a human factor. It's not a
100%.
artificial intelligence factor. So
100%. And then that's where, like, we take our design presentations with our clients very seriously. When they come into the office, everything is neatly flat laid by room with every finish and feel. And up on the screen, we may have floor plans or a rendering or something like that. But having this ability to sit there with our clients, touch this fabric. What if you had this fabric on your couch and now feel this? This could be your throw pillows, and how cozy would that? And having that like kind of interaction where they can touch and feel is so important.
It is. It is. What's been one of your most rewarding or transformative projects to date?
So we've had a lot. I would say most recently, we just finished a 5-story townhome in Beacon Hill that was completely gut renovated down to the studs. We worked with a really phenomenal builder, an architecture team, and was, working with a lot of really, really talented people. But we kind of were there from the beginning when it was taken down to the studs. Mm-hmm. And again, it was this combination of maintaining the old traditional Beacon Hill with the big windows and the gorgeous crown moldings. But really, our client brought us in because she wanted to contemporize it. She didn't want something that felt old Boston. We were so intimately involved in every minutia detail of this huge home. And the client is still, who's a friend now, like, incredibly creative and trusted us. And we were able to create the most glorious project we have absolutely ever done. We just had it shot recently and should be getting those back soon. But it was definitely the most unique experience, blending that Beacon Hill charm with a really modern design aesthetic.
Tell us a little bit about the current projects you're working on.
Yeah. So 2025, starting off busy. We are doing a renovation of a gorgeous home in an area of Wellesley, Massachusetts called the Cliff Estates. And this is, again, another historic home, but we're doing a big renovation project there. The clients are wonderful and creative. And we're kind of infusing some ethnicity into it, which is something we haven't really done before. They have a lot of beautiful Indian art. And so kind of trying to meld that aspect. We're starting a new construction in Wellesley that we are just going over final architectural details. So that is on the plate. We're going back to a client for the third time to work on another. What's a better compliment than when your clients keep having you back?
Exactly.
So we're working with a client for the third time, and we're wrapping up a full house renovation. Right now, we're kind of getting the art installed in a full house renovation, and then we'll have some new projects starting in May. So we're busy.
You're busy. Yeah. Wow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, what's a common misconception about working with an interior designer or the design field itself that you'd like to debunk?
Yeah, I think people are nervous working with a designer for the first time because they feel like it's not going to be they're worried it's not going to be a collaborative process. And I think a lot of people feel like a designer is going to come in and strong arm them into doing things the way they want to do them. And that couldn't be further from the truth. As I said, a few minutes ago, we want our clients to ultimately be happy. We want the design to be beautiful, and we know what it takes as designers. We've done this enough. Mm-hmm. What's going to look good, what's not going to look good, what's going to be easy, what's going to be expensive. But we are here to work, at least our firm is here to really work hand in hand with our clients. So it shouldn't feel scary or overwhelming. We're here to, work collaboratively.
If you had to pick one piece of furniture that you think every home needs, what would it be?
Every home needs a comfortable but gorgeous family room sofa. I think that having that slightly oversized, big, comfy seating area where you're doing family movie nights, where friends are coming over to watch the Super Bowl, where that piece is so important for your day-to-day life, and making sure that it accommodates enough bodies and all of that. I think that's a really, really important piece of your furniture in your home.
What's the most unusual or unexpected source of inspiration you've ever used for a design?
So I love design, and I also really love fashion. I think that's probably a common,
Kind of tied together. Yeah.
probably. I mean, they're right. They're kind of one and the same.
Right.
And so I definitely, as I'm looking in Vogue, as I'm looking in different, like online at different couture kind of fashion websites, I'm constantly looking at those color combinations, at hardware details. I once was walking in Boston and I saw this woman, this was years ago. I saw this woman wearing the coolest pair of high top sneakers, and they were olive green. I vividly, they were olive green, and they had this little infusion of neon green running through. I think it was just the laces. And I was at the time planning for a basement project, a basement renovation, large basement renovation. They had 4 young kids, and I was like, this is it. We're going to do super like neutral cream. We're going to do sofas in a deep olive green, and then we're going to do throw pillows in like the brightest neon green we could find. And it's one of my favorite projects. I love it.
I love it. If you weren't a designer, what do you think you'd be doing right now?
If I was not a designer, I always thought growing up, I remember one summer in college, I did an internship at our like local Boston news station, one of our news stations. I think journalism is just a really interesting area. It's like fast paced. You're constantly moving from one topic to the next. It's not projects that drag on and on and on. And so I would say maybe something in the field of broadcast journalism.
Maybe a podcast host.
Maybe.
There you go.
I'll just keep coming back on yours. That's
there you go.
Much.
Where do you see Nicole Hirsch Interiors in the next 5 years? And is there any goals or milestones you want to achieve, or things that you want to accomplish for the firm?
Yeah, I mean, so we have grown, especially over probably the past 3 years. We have grown in such a profound way in terms of the caliber of projects we are taking on, and getting to work in the new St. Regis in Boston, and these gorgeous brownstone renovations in Boston, and the new construction homes we're doing in the Metro West suburbs of Boston. So from an actual house standpoint, we are really so happy with where we are. Boston is becoming like a real foodie scene. People think New York, LA, but Boston, the explosion of new, incredibly cool restaurants that are opening in the seaport, has been pretty cool to watch. And I always say I would love to get my hands on a new restaurant. I just think it's a really cool next transition from where we are and with the experience we have. So in the next 5 years, it would be kind of cool to embark upon that within the city.
Is there any particular project or type of project you want to work on that you haven't yet?
Well, the restaurant one that I just mentioned. And I think, I think that continuing to kind of develop kind of in Boston, there are some gorgeous high rises going up, and we've done some work in some of them, but it would be great to kind of continue some of these like big buildings in Boston that have these gorgeous new, expansive views of the ocean city. Continuing to work on some of those would be great.
For anyone looking to refresh their space but not do a full, complete remodel, what's the easiest way to make a big impact with small changes?
Yeah. The first thing that we usually, if clients are looking to make a big impact with small-ish changes, is really looking at your millwork in the space. Like a lot of times we'll come in and a client will be like, could we just paint and wallpaper and do new furnishings and lighting? And sometimes I'll say yes, but sometimes there'll be like these really awful built-ins or cabinetry in the space, and having old dated looking millwork in a room, you're never going to improve things greatly. So I would say looking at old dated cabinets, things like that, ripping them out and replacing them with whether you're new painted cabinets or bringing in a gorgeous stain to the room with beautiful hardware, but really evaluating old dated millwork.
What inspires you as a creative?
My gosh, so many things inspire me. One, obviously, and there are a lot of really incredibly talented designers out there in the world. And I think that by no means are we looking at other designers and knocking off what they're doing, but every new cool project we see out of Paris or New York City or LA, I'm gleaning something from them. Even if it's like the littlest detail, like, oh, wow, the legs on that dining table. That would be such a cool thing if we incorporated that on that coffee table we're designing right now, but did it with a stone top. Like, we're always love the way that they executed the drapery with no hardware. We should think about that for this bedroom project. It's really, a lot of my inspiration is from all the insane designers out there. There's just so many talented designers.
Right. So let me ask you this. Your mother was a designer. You grew up in the field. Are you doing the same thing to your family that your mother did to you? It changing the rooms constantly?
So, I mean, all the time. It is the ongoing joke in my house. My husband will literally come home from work and be like, that one didn't look like that. Did it? And I'm like, no, the paint got finished and the wallpaper and the light fixture went in today. He's like, okay, I just wanted to make sure I'm not going crazy. He just kind of rolls with it at this point.
Right.
But my kids are definitely used to constant aesthetic change in this house.
Do you flip their bedrooms? Change their bedrooms? Like, no, you're in this room now.
Never change their bedrooms, but there's constant evolution of furniture, of little things like my daughter, who's now just turned 13. I had done when she moved into her bedroom, this gorgeous wallpaper on the ceiling that was white and had these huge, very geometric silver stars. And she turned 13 and she was like, I don't want stars on my ceiling anymore. I get it. So we had them ripped off, and now we did a more neutral rug on the floor versus a colorful one. So little updates like that as they're getting older.
If there's anywhere in the world you'd like to do a project, where would it be besides California?
Anywhere in the world besides California. It would be really cool to do. So I have like a passion. I spent a lot of time in my life in Italy. I studied in Italy in college.
Me too.
You did. Mm-hmm. And my husband and I traveled around Italy for our honeymoon. And next year we're going to take our kids. So it'll, like, Florence and Rome hold very special places in my heart. And I love those cities. So just for the mere excuse to get over there, I would really love to do something there. And again, it would be that infusion of old Italian architecture with really modern interiors. Would be such a cool undertaking.
Absolutely. Did you ever go to Lucca?
No.
It's between Pisa and Florence. Beautiful city. You got to go to Lucca next time.
Okay, next time I will go. Yeah, no, I feel like when I was there, spent a lot of time in Rome, a lot of time in Florence, and then obviously did Amalfi Coast and all of that. But on the weekends, it was so easy to, like, go to Spain, go to Paris, go to Switzerland. So there was a lot of kind of interspersed travel around Europe, which was so fun.
Well, Nicole, is there anything before we wrap up? Any words of wisdom or design tips for our listeners, or something you want to add?
No, I would just say, the experience of interior design, sometimes it becomes overwhelming during a really big project.
Mm-hmm.
It becomes overwhelming for clients. And just always remembering that at the end of the day, there's always a solution for everything. There are going to be pitfalls that happen inevitably during a construction project or a renovation project or whatever the case may be. And there's just nothing that your designer can't help you tackle or solve or find a solution for. And that's why people hire us. So just stay calm through the process, and it all works out in the end.
That it does. Well, Nicole, thank you so much for joining us today. And for those listening, be sure to follow Nicole's work at Nicole Hirsch Interiors and stay up to date with her latest projects and inspirations. If you're thinking about transforming your home, Nicole is the one to watch. Where can everyone find you at?
They can find me via our website, NicoleHirschInteriors.com. And then we are constantly posting on our Instagram, both through the stories and the grid. We're showing progress on our work and all sorts of things. So Nicole.Hirsch.Interiors is our Instagram handle. And there's always fun stuff being posted there.
Well, thank you so much. And this has been a great conversation and I thoroughly appreciate it. And it was a pleasure meeting you.
It was such a pleasure to meet you. Thank you for having me. This was really fun.
In a world often chasing trends, Nicole reminds us of something far more lasting, truth and beauty, and the beauty in restraint. Through her quiet, thoughtful presence, she creates homes that don't just impress, they embrace. Thank you, Nicole, for bringing us into your world and reminding us that real design is as much about the people as it is about the palette. I'm Craig Beaumont Flynn, and this has been Beyond the Design.
Hi, you're listening to a Pod for Good Media Network podcast. We are a network that provides podcasting production services and a supportive community in which podcasters can thrive. If you're a podcaster local in the Tulsa area, we would love to have your show on the network. If you are interested in starting one, we would love to help you get started. Find us online at podforgoodmedia.com and fill out our Pod With Us form. Happy podcasting.